during the Petersburg campaign, he commanded black troops in the Battle of Chaffin's Farm, which is also known as Newmarket Heights. And there's a speech that Butler gave when he was shepherding the Civil Rights Act of 1875 through Congress, which was the last gasp effort to codify civic equality in terms of access to public accommodations for black people in the waning days of Reconstruction. And Butler was the House manager of that bill. And he described the Battle of Newmarket Heights in his speech and then later in his autobiography. Then I said, "Your cry when you charge will be, 'Remember Fort Pillow.' And as the sun rose up in the heavens, the order was given forward, and they marched forward, steadily as if on a parade, went down the hill across the marsh, and as they got into the brook, they came into range of the enemy's fire, which vigorously opened upon them. They broke a little as they forded the brooks, and the column wavered. It was at a moment of intensest anxiety, but they formed again as they reached the firm ground, marching steadily on with closed ranks under the enemy's fire, until the head of the column reached the first line of abatis, some 150 yards from the enemy's works. Then the axemen ran to the front to outweigh the heavy obstructions of defense, while 1,000 men of the enemy, with their artillery concentrated, poured from the redoubt a heavy fire upon the head of the column, hardly wider than the clerk's desk. The axemen went down under that murderous fire. Other strong hands grasped the axe in their stead, and the abatis is cut away. Again, at double quick, the column goes forward to within 50 yards of the fort to meet there another line of abatis. The column halts, and there a very fire of hell is pouring upon them. The abatis resists and holds. The head of the column seems literally to melt away under the rain of shot and shell. The flags of the leading regiments go down, but a brave black hand seizes the colors. They are up again and wave their starry light over the storm of battle. Again the axemen fall. But strong hands and willing hearts seize the heavy, sharpened tree and drag them away. And the column rushes forward, and with a shout which now rings in my ear, go over that redoubt like a flash, and the enemy never stopped running for 4 miles. It became my painful duty, sir, to follow in the track of that charging column. And there, in a space not wider than the clerk's desk and 300 yards long, lay the dead bodies of 543 of my colored comrades, fallen in defense of their country, who had offered up their lives to uphold its flag and its honor as a willing sacrifice. And as I rode along among them, guiding my horse this way and that, lest he should profane with his hooves what seemed to me the sacred dead, and as I looked on their bronzed faces upturned in the shining sun to heaven, as if in mute appeal against the wrongs of the country for which they had given their lives, and whose flag had only been to them a flag of stripes on which no star of glory had ever shone for them, feeling I had wronged them in the past, and believing what was the future of my country to them, among my dead comrades, there I swore to myself a solemn oath. May my right hand forget its cunning and my tongue cleave to the roof of my mouth if I ever fail to defend the rights of these men who have given their blood for me and my country this day and for their race forever. And God helping me, I will keep that oath." Now, did he mean that? He was a politician after all. He was given a speech in the well of Congress. He was trying to rile up the hoopleheads. Demagoguery about Reconstruction and about the honored dead of the war was a time-honored, cynical practice of post-war Republican politicians. They called it waving the bloody shirt. Benjamin Butler was a master of waving the bloody shirt. In fact, he literally invented waving the bloody shirt. So maybe he was just demagoguing and using emotive language to make a point. Sure. But when you look at what happened after that, Butler runs for Congress as a Republican in 1866 in opposition to presidential Reconstruction, which was a attempt to basically try to reestablish the pre-war economic order in the South with slavery, formal slavery replaced by de jure slavery. And Butler ran for Congress as a Republican opposed to that. And he spent the next decade in Congress fighting to make Reconstruction as punitive to the South and its political leadership as possible, while also pushing as far as possible for the extension of the protection of rights to former slaves in the South.